Patriots.
Oh, do a little Nance. Trader Donald Trump. Woo-hoo. Get Malcolm Nance. Get Mal tonight. Listen, Malcolm Nance. Trader Donald Trump. Get Malcolm Nance.
Yeah.
It's Mal tonight.
What? Hi, good morning, Malcolm Nance.
Good morning, Stephanie.
Star of Stage Screen and Twitter, even though you might not want to be, but you dog walked Elon Musk. I read your whole tweet on the air, Malcolm, and everybody's talking about it. We all had the same reaction. Elon Musk tweeted, "I'm a citizen of the United States. I have only that passport. No matter what happens, I will fight for and die in America." He's never fought for. He's not fighting for, as you said, real talk. Elon Musk is a career veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces and Intelligence, a rescuer on 9/11, a Ukrainian Army legionnaire, and a man who spent his whole life happily defending your constitutional right to openly love and embrace fascist genocide heirs, racists, anti-Semites, terrorists, and insurrectionists. I know you never fight or die for America because you love our enemies' money and your own ego more than the country that took your diamond smuggling, lazy Bond villain ass in. And it went on. But so.
Oh, yeah, you saved the best part. And go like that tweet. It's over 1 million views.
Oh, yeah.
And you know he's going to get his attention. You know, he'll block me soon.
No, listen, I know you're doing a, wildly popular Substack and other stuff, but I am still on, and I'm not calling it X, I'm calling it Twitter, because I'm staying and fighting Nazis, as you probably saw, but Rachel Bidikofer and JoJo from Jurors, who we had yesterday, Mark Hamill, I don't believe in ceding the public space. I think he is despicable, and I love how you're calling him out, and I just like and retweet your tweets, but listen, talk to us about your Substack. You just wrote it this morning, Why I Dog Walked Elon Musk, and I'll do it again. In 2022, Elon Musk cut off Starlink to stop Ukraine from attacking Russian warships. He did it again last night, which I didn't know till I just read your Substack. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, if you guys haven't subscribed to Substack, follow me on Substack. Do it now, because I don't know how long I'm going to be on Twitter, X, whatever it's called.
Right.
Because, when you attack Elon Musk personally, which is what I did, and the consensus of what my tweet did was dog walked Elon Musk. And you know what? He needed to be dog walked, because as I called him, he's a treason weasel. And people like that need to go. I mean, he's sitting and complaining that he is a U.S. passport. He actually has a South African and Canadian passport. We know he's a liar as well.
Yeah.
But, he is the fake genius, from the Glass Onion. As I put in the article, right. We should actually start dragging rivers for the brilliant black woman that came up with everything that he did, because, he believes that he is now some arbiter of world peace, and he cut off Starlink last year to stop a major Ukrainian attack on the Russian naval base at Sevastopol, when those ships there were launching hundreds of missiles at Ukrainian civilians and power plants, killing thousands. And Musk decided with Vladimir Putin, who he called, that he would also come up with a peace plan that would give all of Ukraine's land to Vladimir Putin. So yesterday, the Ukrainians attacked that base.
Yeah.
And what did Elon Musk do? He shut down Starlink worldwide for 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
In the moment the attack was detected.
What sticks in my craw, I'm sure like you, like anyone that believes in the United States of America, is who elected this mother? Mm-hmm. One man should not have the power to, be impacting foreign policy like this. We didn't elect him. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you guys always call me Nanstradamus, and,
yes.
That I predict things that are going to happen in the future. But if you recall, I wrote a Substack in January called Elon Musk, Lazy Bond Villain.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's turning out to be. Every time, what I liked about Bond villains, was that they were real men of science, technology, and advanced engineering but they had this world domination gene that was in their head. Elon Musk has that gene. He thinks that world peace should happen on his terms. And as one of his friends says, I have the quote in my article, Sam Altman said, he wants to save the world, but only if he can be the one saving it and gets recognized for it.
Yeah.
So apart from that, he would rather watch everything burn if he doesn't get credit for it.
Yeah.
He didn't invent Tesla. That company existed. He didn't invent SpaceX. That company existed.
Yeah.
The mission to Mars and all of that, that existed. He stepped on the backs of people, used his money from illicit emerald smuggling, okay, and then took over and now wants to be hailed as this genius.
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah.
And now what he wants to be considered now is a player on the world stage equal to national leaders. This man is killing Ukrainians.
Yeah. Yes, period. By the way, speaking of treason weasels, I just was dying to talk to you since the 22 anniversary of 9/11 on Monday. You know, I lived in New York during 9/11. You'd been a terrorism expert for a long time. I mean, I just think this is the biggest issue facing us is when you think about that time period, our biggest threats then, of course, were foreign. But this, I keep saying what the Republicans have done and Trump has done. This is Al-Qaeda's dream that we'll destroy ourselves from within. That the next attack on our capital came from within. Our biggest threat, as you know, is, white supremacist right-wing terrorism here in the United States, which is why it's so critical, right, to see justice all the way up for January 6th, right?
You're absolutely correct. Look, I've written 10 books. 5 of them were about Al-Qaeda and foreign terrorists. And the last 5, or 4 plus forwarding, is about right-wing extremism. And in an attempt to overthrow the government of the United States, starting with Russia's help in the 2016 election, then Russia's plan to do this worldwide by funding the global right-wing extremists around the world. And then it took off with Donald Trump. And now we are destroying ourselves. Yeah. And that's exactly what is happening. The Russians don't have to do anything anymore. The right wing has co-opted themselves and now work in Russia's interest. American democracy, the American experiment, as it was invented and as it existed until 2016, they don't want that anymore. They don't. They want Donald Trump as dictator. And I wrote that in several books. We had one, The Plot to Betray America, in which he embraced that. And now we have nutty Michael Flynn out there spewing Russian talking points, an entire caucus in Congress that would sell America out to Vladimir Putin. And then we have a lazy class of American news media that it took them 3 years to come to use the words insurgency and insurrection and to say, oh my God, this is a threat to American democracy. I had already written 2 books about that. It's time to start paying attention to that. And you know what? All of you have a mission. You have to create that meta narrative I keep talking about. You have to share with people that what do they say? America girl, you in danger.
You in danger, girl. Malcolm, did you ever think, I was just, because we all thought of where we were on 9/11, of course, when, we hit an anniversary. I mean, did you ever think when you watched our, Pentagon being attacked and, obviously the plane that was headed to the Capitol, I mean, did you ever think 20 years later you'd be watching Americans attack our own Capitol?
No, not at all. And you guys know, I was an eyewitness to the 9/11 attacks. I was outside. I was literally across from the Pentagon when I saw the airplane crash into it, and I was a rescuer there, first responder, all day.
Yeah.
And I understood those attacks. I understood the asymmetric nature of our enemy, using our own strengths and working, what we call walking between the raindrops in order to carry out the impossible. Donald Trump saw that too. He saw an entire class of Americans that he could mobilize to overthrow democracy. For the first time in American history, that we had a president of the United States who saw American democracy as something to be destroyed and replaced by this cult-like tribal adoration of extremists. Over 1,000 people have been convicted. Over 600 years of prison sentences have been handed out. And it's not enough. It's not enough.
Here's my question. Do we ever get back to a place of being the United States of America, as Barack Obama said. We're not blue states and red states. We were talking about, a lot of people wrote beautiful pieces about what it was like in New York. I lived there right after 9/11, and how there was just a shared humanity. And you looked at people and talked to them and cried with them like, we never did before. But I feel like it started then, when the Bush administration lied us into war, obviously for 9/11, then we attacked the wrong country. I feel like you're right. Donald Trump took advantage of sort of an erosion, I think, of trust in government. And I just don't know how we ever get back. Do you?
Well, I believe the first Time magazine that ever depicted him had the president of the divided states of America. And the division is not because of something that's actually occurred. It's not January 6th. The division is because Donald Trump has pushed the entirety of his supporting base, what I call Titus, right? The Trump insurgency in the U.S., into an alternate reality. They no longer see America through the prism of any measure of reality.
Yeah.
It is an imagination. It is a figment in their head, in which Donald Trump is slim and slender and like Rambo, right? And that we are enemies to be destroyed. And that, I get a lot of death threats from these people. I was on Joe Madison's program the other day on Sirius XM, and someone called in, right, to use the N-word against me. Wow. And was angry that his assistant wouldn't let him come on and say that.
Yeah.
That is a person who doesn't live in the same space that the real normal people of America live. They feel entitled. They feel they own America, and that America is their property, and that every other person who is not a white Trump-supporting man, should just give in and be subjugated by them. This is where we have to stand up and say, we are the people. And you know what? They've almost co-opted that term, too.
Well, and here we are. You retweeted someone that said McCarthy's impeachment inquiry hasn't swayed the Freedom Caucus toward funding the government. Watch as the House GOP is going to implode in front of all the country while trying to take Americans down with them. I've said this for a long time. In some cases, they're actual terrorists, January 6th, insurrectionists. So they frequently are economic terrorists threatening to take, the entire full faith and credit of the United States hostage. But here we are, Joe Biden being impeached over nothing.
Yeah. Steffi, they're not talking to the nation. They're talking to the crazy 35.
Yeah.
Right? That 35% that wants to destroy the American government, that wants to come in and monkey wrench the entire. They don't, the funny thing is, they don't care that other people's Social Security checks won't go out, but they want theirs. And when they don't get it, they go, oh, they're right to destroy the government.
Yeah.
This is I don't want to use the T word, right? These are insurrectionists writ large. Yep. They intend to take America through major phases of chaos and, and insurgency. And this is why we all have to understand. There was an article by David Ignatius telling Joe Biden.
We already mentioned it.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sure you guys discussed it.
Yeah.
And then insulting Kamala Harris like, well, why she doesn't do anything? Why should we step up with her?
Oh my God.
Stop listening to these idiots.
Yeah.
They will destroy this country. I don't need an 80-year-old white guy to come and tell me that Joe Biden isn't doing his job or that Kamala Harris can't be president of the United States.
This is what our thesis is this morning. Old people are dumb. And I speak as an old person. We were saying that Victor Shi, right, who tweets about the numbers for young people, support for Biden and for Harris are through the roof, so
look,
the kids are all right.
Biden, I would quickly retire and say, I'd like to introduce you to the 47th president of the United States, Kamala Harris, first woman president, and then Donald Trump's hats would all be out of number.
I don't think you've probably been keeping up, but she had a hip hop barbecue, therefore she is disqualified, much like Obama was disqualified. All right, love you. She wasn't wearing a tan suit, though. Love you, Malcolm Nance. Get his Substack. Do it now. We linked to it. We love you, Malcolm. See you, sailor.
Bye-bye.